Hello, we're back for another episode of Manny Monday. Oh my gosh, it has been an amazing week. A little too amazing, right? 2 weeks ago, I ranted about people calling themselves homebodies and don't be in the fucking house, when I really say that I be in the house and you're not gonna shame me for being in the house because, like, I pay my rent, so of course I'm gonna be in the house and I'm gonna enjoy my house, right? But I've been outside, like outside, like this past week. So like, I went to a haunted house. Then today I went to this corn maze. Between then and there, WWE had an NXT premiere in which they premiered on the CW. I was there live in concert. If you rewatch the broadcast, you can see my black face on TV. Just putting that out there. And yeah, I just been outside, and then next week I'm going to another haunted house, then I'm going to a film festival. So like, things are picking up, right? And I think that's pretty good, just being able to go out, just be able to enjoy life. But again, with the intro, if you're not hip to the fact, these are Manny Mondays. My Manny Mondays, I usually read off a list that's posted on my Instagram. My Instagram is right here. I said it's right here, aquí, right? But I also post it in the description. But again, those lists are usually posted Friday on my Instagram. So please follow me on my Instagram to get those lists a little bit earlier. And of course, I post my Manny Mondays on Monday. But without further ado, let's get right into it. The first order of business is I quit / paying myself, right? So yeah, I quit my job recently. I gave my letter of resignation. And it's crazy because I have an inner monologue of all the shit that I could say. And to be honest with you, just between me and you, I recorded this video like fucking 3 times, right? And I realized like none of it's good. None of it's good. Like you can literally go ham in on an organization or like whatever that didn't work with it, but then at a certain point it's just like it's just not worth it, right? If it's just like your time to leave, it's fine. It does feel like a bittersweet moment because I did feel like very unappreciated, and you sometimes lose sight of like who you are, and then it took what happened or just me to actually apply myself in the field to really have people like validate me for my successes and stuff, right? Because some people are under the misconception that is like, oh, you can do your job, do the work, and validation or affirmation just doesn't matter, right? Just keep doing the motion, just going, and eventually someone will congratulate you and do certain things and stuff like that. But unfortunately, in the real world, you know, things like nepotism fucking exist. Things like being overlooked exist, and to realize that, see things at face value, you know, there's a array of other issues I could just get into, right? But be able to mark out on a new journey is very exciting. And something I did notice with me resigning is like everyone had a level of deep breath and just transparency. It's like we were all doing this fucking performance and we're convincing ourselves that it's okay and that we're doing this for a means to an end. We have to convince ourselves because like this is our livelihood. We don't want to become depressed, right? But there is something with transparency and being able to maneuver and do things to get yourself up out of that situation, right? Take me back to the time where I was working in the jail. Me and the guard is on the pod, and we got displaced because we were black and heavily tattooed. Why not put us on the most violent pod where an incident is happening, like a staff assault, right? And it was a clear-cut race issue because like they were white people on the pod and that's their unit, but instead they displaced us and put us there because they said we were better handled for the situation, right? And so me and this other correction officer, we're talking about the displacement of us, discrimination that we're facing at this job, and we go back and forth, and then he's like, you know what, but at the end of the day, the pay is good. At a certain extent, the pay doesn't even fucking matter at a point. Like, beyond money, respect is very crucial. And I think that goes into my next point of vulnerability mistaken for incompetence, right? If you're watching this video, you've never watched any video, or if you've seen previous videos, I want you to know that I am so in touch with myself, right? That I'm able to be vocal and be vocal on this stage, to be able to express myself to an audience within the scope of 10, 16 minutes, or maybe even shorter than that, be vocal about it. But when I'm vocalizing it, when I'm expressing my insecurities, I'm speaking my thoughts out loud, right? And I don't want that to be mistaken for incompetence. I'm a very highly educated man. This is not just grand gestures and words that I'm throwing out, but I am capable, right? I'm an adult. I'm educated, and I have done shit, and I am continually on doing shit, and I also have grand gestures and plans and ambitions that I want to do. And I think people lose sight of that just because I express myself or I have a moment of weakness. That doesn't alleviate everything that I've done, right? It reminds me of a book. If I were to call on Berserk, it's a very beautiful novel. And when we first get introduced to the main character is Guts, right? Guts, he was shown as a warrior. He's very strong, right? And then once we see him as a strong warrior, then we're introduced to his childhood backstory, how he's a child of war. He was sexually assaulted when he was younger and all those other things. And the beautiful thing I like about it is because you get to see him as human, and then you get to see him as his history. You understand context. You understand why he doesn't like to be touched in different things. And why I'm calling that example is because I want people to remember that even though I do these videos, even though I do this content and through my day-to-day life, I'm fucking human, right? I'm capable of being competent, I'm capable of executing, but then also being vulnerable in this space that I associate with, right? I can say this, maybe it goes over some people's head, but that's fucking fine. I said my piece. Third thing on the list, wait. I didn't express what I meant by pay myself. By pay myself, I mean investing in myself and not being so pigeonholing. It took me to resign from my position to realize that, hey, I had all this money stocked up for a rainy day, as you should, and be able to utilize it. And within the next week or so, I do hope to get a gaming PC. I know you shouldn't be making big purchases like the moment that you quit a job or whatever, but like, no, I think I should be able to enjoy my money. If you are in a place where you already have emergency account or emergency saving fund and stuff like that, I strongly encourage you to invest. It's just like another layer or another background or another asset that you can withdraw from in the case of emergency, right? Because for me personally, I can't speak for you, for me personally, have an emergency fund, but then I also have all these stocks and shit that I invested in, especially with the AI boom and stuff like that. So like, God forbid, everything blows up with my savings, I have my investments to fall on, and I can live off of that for like half a year to a year, right? Before I find something else, right? But moving on to number 3 is choosing the right counselor, right? You gotta choose a counselor that works for you, and it's through trial and error that you get to find out what counselor works best for you. And it made me think about that. I'm talking about this because this past Tuesday was the last time I saw my counselor, right? Because again, ending this job, transitioning to another one, and maybe I'll see her in the future, maybe I don't, I get a new counselor. But we did a lot of work, and I appreciate having her. And what made her ideal for me is that I had the hobbies of an older white woman. I don't know why. This is just interest. When it comes to the things that I like, right? Because I like things, and when I do things, I do it with the purpose of me doing it and getting enjoyment out of it. I'm not doing it with the purpose of finding a partner or finding a friend. If I so happen to along the way, that's fucking great. But I'm gonna do this shit anyway, right? So just me being me, when I join these book clubs and I join these film festivals and stuff like that, a lot of the audience there are just older white women. So when I think about that and things and interest in things and people that I talk to within these spaces, right, it makes more sense that my counselor did happen to be a older white woman, right? I know that they get a lot of slack, especially with like the whole thing with Karens nowadays and shit like that, right? And I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but I will. Oh my gosh, I fucking hate the way this is going, because then I'm gonna be like, they're not all bad. But as cringy as it says, they're not all bad. And so I do love the older white women in my life, especially like this one that's been my counselor for a long time, and just being able to affirm her, share space with her, and to like know that we're different, like physically, literally, age-wise and everything, but being able to feel like she gets me and that we relate in a certain way. And you're welcome to disagree. You're welcome to have your own perception. Maybe you need someone that fits your archetype, right? But for me, me and her have more in common than someone of my complexion, because with the way I visualize things is when I had an issue, right? This is me, my own personal experience, my own anecdote. People with similar backgrounds or perceived for similar backgrounds, they assume a lot. My perceptions, my attitudes, and things like that. But what I appreciate about her and her nature is more inquisitive, and I appreciate that inquisitivity rather than assumptions. There's things that I don't know, right? And I do appreciate just getting her perspective on things. So saying all this to say, find the counselor that is right to you, that aligns with your goals, and of course do a little bit trial and error, because you may have a counselor that does this, you don't get along with it. You may have a counselor that does this, you don't get along with it. But in my experience, older white counselor, way to go. All right, that is it for my Manny Monday. You take care of yourself. I wish you all a happy Halloween. Definitely take advantage, and I challenge you, if you're hearing this, to do something that you wouldn't normally do, right? Be able to take that risk. And of course, comment, like, subscribe. Subscribe. You made it this far. You should restore yourself by subscribing. See my other future videos. And of course, jaritos are on me.